Hi guys, welcome to the digital edition of Overdrive. Hope you guys are having a good week so far, all geared up for a long weekend. Well, before we head into this weekend and let it do its magic, let's kickstart the show with some off-road action from the newly launched Toyota Fortuner. My colleague Arib Sherwani identified a playground in Gurugram which was simply perfect to test every aspect of the Fortuner. I'll let him tell you all about it. But meanwhile, also, you can send us your questions in the comment section. Bert and Rohit will join us shortly to answer all of them for you.
What you see here is the Toyota Fortuner. It has been upgraded for 2021. And while the styling remains similar to the previous generation, there are a bunch of cosmetic changes, especially to the front and the rear. So you get a reprofiled grille, you get a reprofiled bumper, the bezel for the fog lamps are different, and you also get slightly larger wheels. Now, just to get some stats out of the way, it's running the same 2.8-litre turbo diesel engine as before, but it has been tuned to make more power and more torque. So now it makes 204 PS and 500 Newton meters of torque when paired with the automatic transmission. So what that does, it makes it significantly more sprightly on the road. Now in terms of off-road credentials, you get a approach angle of 29 degrees, which is this angle here when you approach an incline, and a departure angle of 28 degrees. Now to compare that to a more hardcore off-roader, something like the Mahindra Thar. So in that you will get an approach angle of around 42 degrees and a departure angle of around 37 degrees. Now also because of the shorter wheelbase in an off-roader like that, you get a better ramp over angle compared to a longer wheelbase like this. So chances of actually scraping the belly when you're coming over a crest are slightly higher. But life is more than a spec sheet, and Toyotas are known to be notoriously tough. So we've come here to Off-Road Adventure Zone in Gurgaon. It's a track that is curated to challenge even the best of off-roaders, and we'll be putting the Fortuner's 4x4 credentials to the test here to see just how legitimate its off-roading chops really are. So we're all prepped to go. I'm going to shift straight to 4 low. We're going to skip 4 high altogether. You can hear that beep that indicates that now we're in 4 low. Ready to go. I'm going to keep my thumbs out. We don't want any orthopedic adventures today.
For slow off-roading, such as in this challenging terrain, we don't need speed. What we need is the torque multiplication that 4 low provides.
So our first obstacle is relatively simple, the chicken hole. So we just have rubber tires with holes that are alternatively placed, and we're going to go through them. So let's see how we perform on this first obstacle.
Over the chicken holes, there is considerable movement in the body, but the high torque means getting over this basic obstacle is a no-fuss affair.
Now we're actually going to go on a lateral incline to see exactly how much of a lateral angle the Fortuner can take.
Now the Fortuner is a tall SUV and weighs almost 3 tons in this automatic guise. So you don't expect it to remain as poised as it does over such steep lateral inclines. In fact, the wheel arches are able to accommodate a lot of suspension travel on the inside track, making it quite versatile when tackling terrain such as this.
It's fairly comfortable. You're relatively balanced and well stable inside the cabin. So now our next obstacle is a little bit of a rock crawl. So I'm just going to release the brake a little bit, give a little bit of an input through the accelerator, and let's see how it goes.
Now the ability to rock crawl is particularly handy on uphill sections such as this, where the track may be exposed rock piles or even slightly bigger boulders. The high torque at low speeds ensures that the wheels don't slip off the rock surface, damaging the underbody, while also ensuring that the engine remains unstressed.
Our next obstacle is this double crest of sorts, so it's designed to test the ramp over angle. Now, in reality, you're not going to do any of this with the Fortuner, but if the time actually comes when you actually have to put it through its paces off-road, it is quite capable.
Now the arena here presents crests that would otherwise be hard to encounter on a regular off-road trail, and the Fortuner has managed to crest over all of them without scraping the underbelly. In just one place, the floorboard did scrape, but only just. Overall, the ramp over angle is sufficient for most obstacles that this SUV will encounter.
Next obstacle is a double test of sorts. So we'll be checking out the lateral incline angle, and then that is followed by an axle twister. So first we're going to go in right wheels down, and then it's going to twist and take the left wheels down. So you'll actually have the rear wheel in the air as we go along. So let's check this out.
These axle twisters are designed to test an SUV's articulation, and this is where the Fortuner's 4x4 system comes out with flying colours. The active traction control and limited slip differential help the Fortuner ease out of this obstacle despite one or more wheels being off the ground. Now the trick here is to tap the throttle up the incline and let go at the top to allow the vehicle to tip over to the other side. Once the front wheel makes contact with the ground, you can power out.
Up next we have yet another axle twister, but this time it's slightly different. So it's a little more sharper. It's designed to make the SUV rock forward and backward, but a little more sharply. So once again we'll have that wheel articulation being tested, but this time a little bit more severe. So let's see how we do. Again we enter right wheel in. And there you have it.
Now the Fortuner's DAC or downhill assist control maintains speed and control when you're coming down steep declines, especially on a loose surface. Now there's no driver input required and the vehicle does the job for you. Now, it's very handy when you're hanging vertically looking at the ground below you.
So now we're going to do a lateral incline test, but it's slightly different. So it's circular. So we'll be going around this little mound of sorts on a lateral incline, but we'll be taking a circle around it and seeing how it performs. So I can feel it tipping quite steeply to the left. It's surprisingly able to take incredible incline angles. And it reflects very good for wheel articulation as well. So my rear wheel right now is pretty much completely inside the wheel arch, and it's doing a fantastic job. And the front wheel is almost in the air, and despite that we have plenty of traction. So right now we're just being propelled by the right inside wheel as we come up this incline. Now, what I'm really enjoying about the Fortuner is that while it might not have crazy off-roading credentials in the sense that you can jump over ramps and do hard landings, things like that. However, even a course this challenging has so far not been able to throw anything its way, which has not been able to do very comfortably. And not just that, while you're doing taking on obstacles which are so difficult, you're doing it in absolute comfort. The seats are well supportive. In fact, now they also get a cooling function. So while it's really hot outside, it must be 34, 35 degrees outside, I'm sitting in absolute comfort. The ambient temperature is amazing. The seats are really cooled. I'm comfortable. I don't have any sweat running down my back. So literally the car's not breaking a sweat and I'm not breaking a sweat. And I think that is what makes the Fortuner so invincible, yet so comfortable. It's built like a tank. You can feel it. And I think that is where its prowess, its USP really lies, like the capability it has despite doing it so comfortably. So I've taken the Fortuner 4x4 through a legitimately difficult obstacle course and it's come out with flying colors. And with this new added information, it's so much easier to put this SUV in context, to give it some more perspective. Now, do keep in mind that it does cost 44.2 lakh rupees on road Delhi, depending on which area you're in, but around that ballpark figure. Now, what you get for that money, even though that's a steep price for an SUV, what you do get for that money is an SUV that is good on the road. Yes, the suspension is a little stiff and the ride can get a little bouncy, but it will do highway touring duties in relative comfort. And it has legitimate off-roading credentials like we've just seen. So it's a big tick and a big nod from me here.
Well, I hope you enjoyed watching that video as much as Arib enjoyed filming it for you. Guys, we'll be answering your questions soon enough. And remember, if you ask us really good questions, you qualify to win a free subscription to the Overdrive digital magazine. Stick around to know if you're one of the top 5 winners. Can we have Bert and Rohit on the show, please?
Hi, Sohini.
Hi, Bert. Hi, Rohit.
Hello, Sohini. Hello, Bud.
What car?
Yes, today I'm back
are
in
you
a. I'm in the venue today. I'm in the venue IMT.
Acha.
I was
Bad
just going to
network at
say,
home, so
Rohit
I
has
had to. I
stolen
had
Bert's
to.
venue.
No. This is a different venue. It came for something else. But yeah, I mean, I'm back in a car because the network at home is really bad, and that is why I'm here. So I just hope that the light, sort of keeps up with us. That's the
We'll
only
try to run the
worry
show
today.
within the light timing.
Yes.
All right, we'll jump right into the questions. The most common question that we usually get, Aniket wants to know Fortuner or Endeavour?
Well, we actually, most of us have different opinions on this, having driven cars, but my opinion is the Fortuner because, again, reliability, the service quality, the cost of ownership is all much lower where the Fortuner is concerned. It, however, is the best SUV to drive looking at purely driving experience. And I think it's the Endeavour. It's phenomenal ride quality. It's got a great suspension setup. It can do everything that Fortuner can do, probably more. And I definitely like the way the Endeavour looks as well. So if I had to vote for it, it's a tough call. But the Endeavour would get my would target my heartstrings, and the Fortuner, well, that would make a lot more sense in my pocket.
All right, but if you have headphones, mics, maybe that would help because we can't hear you. We're getting comments saying that people can't hear you as well. Rohit,
Sorry,
you have
am I? Anyone? Someone just put a message.
not
You can
very
hear
clear,
me.
but
All right, let me just try and work something in the meantime.
Rohit, you have driven the Legender, so here's one question for you. Does the
Yeah.
Fortuner Legender justify its price premium over the standard and potentially more capable 4x4 Fortuner?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. In fact, that's what I sort of answered a few comments as well on the video that we got on a YouTube channel. And I think it's a bit of a missed opportunity, or is it that Toyota is getting a little too greedy with the Legender? I don't know. I mean, there was a lot of demand for the car when it was initially shown, and I think they should have offered this car with all the bells and whistles that the Fortuner has to offer. They've purely gone with the looks department and then charged such a huge premium for it. So if I had to put my money down on either the Fortuner or the Legenda, I would go ahead and choose the Fortuner for all of its added capabilities. Even if I'm not going to be going off road every now and then, even if I'm not going to be doing what Ari was showing us a little while back, I would still probably go with the 4x4. Because one, it gets me all the capabilities that the Fortuner brings to the table. So if at all I decide to go on that off-road trail or decide to go on maybe an all India expedition, and I want that hardcore SUV at my disposal to do all of that, the Fortuner is that. The Legender, I'll just be sort of showing off to my friends and family and maybe people who are looking at me getting out of the car. But that's about it. I mean, the kind of price that you're going to be.
The Fortuner is that. The Legend.
Yeah. So basically, what I'm trying to say is, I wouldn't put my money down on the Legender. It looks good, but I would rather go with a more, I'll rather go with the function than the form, and I would get the Fortuner 4x4.
Sarfaraz here says that better to go for the Volkswagen Tiguan. Do you agree?
Sarfaraz, it's an excellent car. I wouldn't take anything away from the Tiguan, but in the company of these brutes, as I usually call them in my reviews, the brutes like the Endeavour and the Fortuner, it's a completely different kind of a vehicle type. So it's not really fair to compare these two vehicle types to each other. One is a nice soft roader, and it has all the appointments of a good luxurious soft roader. I mean, if I would rather say that the Tiguan is a good alternative to maybe something like a Q3 or a Q2. If you want more space, but you want that German engineering, you want that ease of use, ease of drivability, you want those kind of features and that feel-good factor, I think in that case, from that perspective, the Tiguan makes a lot of sense. But if you want those, hardcore brutes and you don't want to think twice before tackling a pothole or going off the road, then it's basically the Endeavour or the Fortuner. So I don't really want to compare these two straight up. But yes, because of the pricing, these comparisons are bound to happen. So like I said, I may not go off-roading often. I may not go to the trails often. But that one time when I decide to do that, I want that vehicle to be capable of doing that. That may not be the point of view for you at all. I mean, you might just want a good, luxurious car that is, very easy to use in the city environment to do maybe easy road trips between two metros. And for all of that, the Tiguan is really nice. Whether you go with the 3-row variant or the upcoming 2-row variant, I think the Tiguan is really nice.
All right. Rishabh here wants to know that he wants a diesel SUV, an automatic one, a 5-seater. We can even club probably Nitin's question, which is the best off-roader under 50 lakh rupees. Yeah, Rishabh's first.
Okay, Rishabh's question is, I'm looking for an SUV in the diesel automatic. Okay. I think you have not mentioned the kind of, what price bracket you're looking at, but I think right now, where I would draw the line is essentially the Compass. I love the Compass. It's a very capable vehicle. So in fact, that is what I was coming to. If you don't want a brute like the Fortuner, and you don't want a vehicle like the Tiguan, a soft roader like the Tiguan, you want something that is sort of a midway point, a balance between these two. I think the Compass is an excellent proposition. Trailhawk, if you can stretch to it, but even if you can't, even the 4x4 or the all-wheel drive rather, the all-wheel drive variant of the Compass is really nice. The way it handles most of the terrains, the kind of engine that it has, and I'm purely talking about the diesel here, and even the automatic transmission. I mean, I've said it in the past that I don't like the automatic transmission because it sort of saps that particular engine of its power, or the way it delivers power. It's not as punchy as the manual, but at the same time, it's not a bad gearbox. It's just a little slow as compared to the manual. The manual is a bit more punchy. The manual has a lot more fun going for it, but you just can't ignore the convenience that this automatic brings to a table. So I think all things considered, if you are not really mentioning that price bracket and if you're still talking about that Fortuner kind of a price bracket, I think the Compass makes for a lot of sense. Even with its stretched price tag right now, it has all the bells and whistles going for it. So the new Compass is what I would recommend.
All right. But if we can just check whether your audio is fine.
Yeah. Am I audible better now?
I guess it's similar to what it was before.
Unfortunately, technology sucks at this point in time, and I'm facing a bit of an issue with my audio. I'm gonna try and see what I can do.
I guess as long as you're loud, but we'll be able to hear you. There's one question for you, in fact. Omkar wants to know, can the Thar do all the off-road heroics we just saw in the clip, which is each and every obstacle that the Fortuner faced?
Well, Omkar, the thing is, almost all 4x4 SUVs with low ratio transfer cases can do most of the shots that you saw the Fortuner do right now. Now, the only advantage the Fortuner has in this, if you had to compare it against the Thar, for instance, would be that it has a little more torque than what the Thar has got. The disadvantage that the Fortuner carries is that it's got a much longer wheelbase. So if you were actually off-roading in some terrain where there were some tight corners or some tight passageways, something that would require a shorter wheelbase, a vehicle that is shorter in length also for that matter, the Thar would be able to navigate through those tight bends, not the Fortuner. The Fortuner would find it a little more difficult to do the same. So these are the two advantages or disadvantages that each of them brings to the table. And for all other purposes, either of these SUVs on the terrain that we just saw, on the course that we just saw, the Thar will very easily do whatever the Fortuner did.
All right, we have a question here, Bert, from Chetan. He wants to know, when is the updated Isuzu Max going to launch in India? It would be a worthy competitor to the Fortuner and the Endeavour.
Well, Chetan, we were expecting the D-Max, the MUX again. That will be out very shortly. We are expecting a new generation of the D-Max and the MUX to come out, the SUV to come out very shortly. Now, I know that Isuzu has been delayed considerably. A lot of the plans have been pushed forward. We haven't got a very specific timeline, but let me tell you, even I'm waiting for some of the products to come out in the market right now. Fingers crossed, they should have some information for us within the next couple of months.
All right. Is the Polo GT TSI, the 2020 car, worth buying? Looking for a sporty hatchback.
Well, yes, in a way, it is definitely worth buying, but keep in mind there are or rather, there are equally good options in the market today. The i20 Turbo, notwithstanding being one of those, and of course you've got smaller hatchbacks, also turbocharged hatchbacks that are now coming out in the market, and there will be a few more that will be coming out in the future as well. So in the meantime, though, is the new Polo? Yes, it's an interesting car. It continues to hold its ground. It continues to attract a lot of attention. It's a great car to drive, great set of dynamics. I just saw, in fact, I just posted on my social media about a new color scheme that came out. That Volkswagen is going to be introducing. That's a matte grey color scheme with that checkered pattern upholstery inside the car. It looks attractive as well. So yes, if you're looking to buy a Volkswagen Polo, then 2020 version also, it still is a good car.
All right. Here's one from Pankaj. He wants to know, is the Hector worth buying over the Kushaq and the Volkswagen Tiguan?
Will be a difficult call to make. We've just seen both of these cars. We've seen the Kushaq and we've seen the Tiguan. We'd like to drive both of them for that matter. I had driven a prototype version of the Kushaq and I wasn't very impressed with the 1.5 liter engine in it. The 1 liter felt much better. The Tiguan, I'm still waiting to drive that. That drive will happen in the next couple of months. They're good-looking cars, but definitely don't have the space that the Hector has to offer. Keep in mind, the Hector has got enormous amounts of space inside the cabin, and that is just something that neither the Kushaq or the Tiguan come close to. On all other fronts, reliability, quality, I think the Kushaq or the Tiguan will definitely be better than the Hector. Having said that, the Hector also has a very interesting set of features nonetheless. And I do see a lot of people buying the Hector. I do see a lot of people using the Hector. I don't hear a lot about a lot of issues cropping up in their cars. So I guess I can assume that the Hector is reasonably reliable.
All right. Rohit, here's a question for you. Is Honda HRV coming to India?
They have been talking about this for quite some time now. There's a new model expected in the global market, the replacement of the current Vezel or the current HRV, and hopefully that is the version that will make its way into the Indian market. Because if you remember, recently Honda axed the CRV, they axed the Civic. So they are not really they're not really sure of the premium end of things right now. The Indian market demanded it. They brought it back, and despite them bringing these two models back, it wasn't really received too well. And at the same time, we've also seen cars like the BRV not doing too well for them either. So there are takers in that particular price bracket, but what people want from Honda is a proper crossover. Something that can take on the likes of the Creta and the Seltos, and not something that is sort of a mod job on top of an MPV. That is what the BRV was. So that is why they have been looking closely at the HRV now. Previously, they couldn't bring in the model to the Indian market purely because the cost wouldn't match up. In fact, they had told us categorically that the car would be upwards of 25 lakh rupees back then. In the scheme of things that they were, and that at that price point, no one would buy that car. If it were to go up against something like a Creta, because that's essentially the size that it's going to be playing in. But now with the newer HRV, there is hope. They are saying that they will look at bringing in this model. And just the way Volkswagen is going with the T-Roc or Skoda is going with the Karoq, if they exploit the 2500 unit rule, and if they are able to bring in limited quantities, because 2500 is still a decently sized figure for that particular category. And I think if they can do something like that, maybe they should try out the market. But the current HRV that's in the market, in the global market, that's not coming to India.
Right. Here's a very interesting question from Lazy Wanderer. couple of years ago, he says, there was news about the government-approved EV kits that would be developed that could be swapped with existing conventionally powered vehicles. Is there any information about this? He says he's asking this since that would make it more affordable for people to adopt EVs.
Well, not really. There is work going on, of course, on retrofitting EV kits into ICE cars. But it's not an easy job. It's not something that you can do at your end very simply. You will definitely have to go to an authorized workshop or someone who's capable of doing that modification or making that changeover. In most cases, it will be the company itself that is providing that service, who will, have probably centers around the country where you can go and do this retrofitment. But having said that, there are a lot of other elements that need to be looked at, because it's not just about retrofitting an EV kit. You're going to be placing a large weight on the floor pan of the car, so that needs to be strengthened. Your weight balance needs to be changed, because you don't exactly have a larger engine sitting in the front. So the dynamics of suspension will need to be tweaked, will have to be tuned. So there are a lot of challenges to this. It's not a very easy job. Retrofitting an EV into a regular car is not an easy job at all. So we will definitely have these coming up in the future, but nothing that is going to be an immediate operation.
But there's one interesting bit. I recently, about a couple of weeks back, someone was telling me that people have been buying similar kits of Alibaba before, the imports from China were banned. And they were sort of converting their Activas and scooties into electric scooters. And obviously, like you said, it wasn't working too well, because you are putting a lot of battery weight on that chassis, and the chassis is probably not designed to take all of this. And typically, people who are doing these kind of modifications aren't really playing with the newer generations of these vehicles. They're sort of tinkering around with probably vehicles that are more than 10-15 years old. And of course, that chassis has probably taken a lot of beating until now. But yeah, these kind of things are happening. But I doubt if there's going to be a government authorized kit, so to say. Probably what will happen is something similar, maybe to what we saw, with CNG kits. You could get it retrofitted from any dealer or whatever, and then take it to the RTO and get your passing done again. Maybe something like that could work out, but then it's still a modification job, and it's still punishable by law if it's going to be a vehicle that's going to be plying the road without the RTO having approved that modification. So yes, a government approved kit, I'm not sure if it's going to happen, but maybe some norms for people who are retrofitting these kind of kits, if at all. Maybe some norms for getting these vehicles registered as EVs could come up, or it probably already exists that I'm not aware of.
Okay. Here, Pankaj Mahata wants to know, does the business case for buying an EV get your nod over an internal combustion engine vehicle this year?
Absolutely. I mean, be it two-wheelers, four-wheelers, I think it certainly makes a lot of sense looking at where petrol prices are right now. And we have been now talking about this quite often, that, the whole thing about complaining about the lack of infrastructure and all that. I don't completely agree with it. Yes, there are challenges. One challenge that we've been discussing, quite a few times on this show is the local societies or the gated communities not allowing the installation of charging equipment or chargers in your society. But otherwise, there are quite a few public charging stations in most metropolitan cities, most tier 1 cities. So, owning and living with an electric vehicle, a two-wheeler or a four-wheeler, or even a three-wheeler for that matter, is not that difficult anymore. Maybe 4 years earlier, it wasn't that easy, but now it's actually much easier. And we've been seeing a lot of Nexons and Konas on the Mumbai and Pune streets, and all of them are happily living with these vehicles. I haven't personally come across any EV that has, run out of charge and is waiting on the side of the road just to get some help. I have not come across a single EV like that. So I think, yes, it does it. It certainly makes a lot of case for itself. And typically, we are seeing a lot of manufacturers also, backing up these EVs with excellent warranty schemes for the batteries. These warranty packages can also be transferred to the next owner. So even if you were to, literally buy this like a regular vehicle, keep it only for 3 or 4 years till your EMI runs out, or maybe 5 years, and then sell it to someone else, even they have a peace of mind because they get that warranty transferred onto them. So, from that perspective as well, I don't see any harm in going with an EV if you've done your math, and if you have charging stations around you, if your society doesn't allow you to get your charging station.
All right, we'll take one last question before we check out the news. When can we expect the launch of the eKUV 100? Will it be as attractively priced as the Nexon EV?
I think it will be priced lower. In fact, that is what they had told us at the Auto Expo as well, that they are targeting a sub 10 lakh rupee price tag, at least a starting price tag of sub 10 lakh rupees for the eKUV. Also, remember the eKUV is a smaller vehicle. It is not as big as the Nexon EV. But yes, their target was to have the vehicle come into the market by 2021. And this target was told to us at the Auto Expo. So, of course, the COVID has happened after that. So, you have to remove that 1 year from all the planning and strategizing. So let's hope that it comes out this year, because it wasn't a very complex, piece of engineering. What they had shown was looking like a vehicle that was ready to hit the market real soon, or ready to hit the roads real soon. And we have been seeing a few prototypes of the eKUV plying the roads around, Mahindra's facilities. So hopefully this year, or maybe by mid next year, it should see the light of day.
All right, we'll just turn our attention towards the news. You guys keep sending us your questions and we'll get back to them shortly. The luxury car manufacturers have been super busy this week, starting with Audi. They have just launched the 4-door coupe S5 Sportback that replaces the 2-door RS5 in India, starting at 79.6 lakh rupees. It's powered by a 3-liter twin-turbo V6 petrol that puts out 359 PS and 500 Newton meters of torque. It's paired with an 8-speed ZF automatic gearbox, and it features Audi's quattro all-wheel drive system and a self-locking rear differential. Torque is split 40-60 between the front and rear axles, and there is an S Sports suspension package. Adjustable damping can be added at an additional cost. The feature list boasts of a 12.3-inch digital instrumentation and a 10.1-inch touchscreen infotainment and a panoramic sunroof. Moving on, Mercedes-Benz has just launched the Mercedes-Benz A-Class limousine in India. Prices for the sedan start at 39.90 lakh rupees for the petrol variant, going up to 40.90 lakh rupees for the diesel variant. The locally assembled Mercedes-AMG A35 has been launched alongside it at 56.24 lakh rupees, making it the most affordable performance sedan you can buy in the country today. The A-Class is available with a 3-year standard warranty and an 8-year warranty for the engine and gearbox. The 2-year maintenance package can be had for 61,200 rupees. While the A-Class is available in 5 color options, the A35 AMG is available in 6 color options. But if the bright yellow paint scheme you've seen in our video review has dazzled you, you can get it specially painted at an additional cost. Moving on, Jaguar's first all-electric I-Pace can now be bought in India starting at 1.5 crore rupees ex-showroom pan-India for the base S variant, going up to 1.12 crore rupees for the top trim, the HSE trim. The I-Pace launched in India is the latest globally updated model, and now the standard 11 kilowatt wall box charger can add 53 kilometers of range every hour, a 33% increase over the previous 2-phase system. A full charge through this takes 8.6 hours. For those using a single-phase 7 kilowatt system, 22 kilometers of range is added per hour, while a full charge takes over 12 hours. A 50 kilowatt DC fast charger adds 63 kilometers in 15 minutes, while a 100 kilowatt charger adds 127 kilometers in the same time. Jaguar Land Rover India has also tied up with Tata Power to provide a network of charging solution to its customers aside from the home or office chargers. And finally, BMW has launched a new base variant of the 2 Series Grand Coupe. It is priced at 37.90 lakh rupees ex-showroom. While the 220i Sport uses the same drivetrain as the M Sport variant, it misses out on quite a few features. The 220i also sits on smaller 17-inch wheels and doesn't come with the M Sport styling package. You can also opt for a black Shadow limited edition model with the petrol option, which will only be available in an online exclusive format. BMW has also revealed its first ever all-electric sedan, the i4, earlier this week, which is also likely to be the first from its M division of electric vehicles. Is Bert still with us?
Yes, I'm right here, Sohini.
Yeah, but can you take us through that? What does it mean to have an electric sedan from BMW from the M division?
It's definitely one of the things that we're going to be expecting in the future, because most of what we're seeing right now are SUVs, and that's also because SUVs have the capacity and the space to do this. But yeah, we've seen Tesla, and they've done the Model 3, and essentially the i4 competes against the Model 3, but with a lot of performance on offer. Again, like we put it out on our story, this could possibly be one of the first electrics from the M division, which means you will get fantastic dynamics, you get great handling, a stiffer ride, of course, but the performance will be outstanding. Keep in mind, you're getting a 530 PS electric motor. So, and coming, that 80 kilowatt battery that you see, that there's an optional battery pack as well that is available, and you've got both rear wheel drive or all wheel drive. So it stays true to BMW's legacy in that sense. Now, WLTP driving cycles put this car at about 600 kilometers of range, which is enormous for a sedan of that order, for an electric vehicle of that order. But still, I would discount at least about 150 kilometers of it, and I would still see about 500 to 450 kilometers, 500 kilometers of range coming from a car of that order. Quick car, 0 to 100 in about 4 seconds. So you've got proper M division performance from it. I think it's a good looker as well, with all of those accents that you can see right there. Those blue tones on the side sills, the big large grille that we've seen on a lot of SUVs, a lot of BMW products coming out in recent years, and even those blue accents inside the headlamps. Keep in mind, those blue accents essentially in the BMW fleet denote that it's got an electric motor under its hood. So all of those blue accents that you see everywhere, these are typical of what you see on their electric car range, for that matter. We've seen it on the i3, we've seen it on the i8, we've seen it on all of some of the on the electric SUVs as well. So all in all, interesting car. It will be coming down to India also at some point in time, but this is still some time away. I would guess at least a year and a half, if not longer, before something of this sort comes down to the Indian market.
So, what do you
Rohit
think
has
about the
been
design?
bringing.
Yeah, what do you think about the design of the i4? It still holds that pacifier in its mouth. It looks like it with that big grill. I mean, for the petrol variant, yeah, for the petrol variant, I was okay with it, but I don't know why they needed that on the electric.
Exactly, they could have done something different with it, but I do like the fact that they've stayed true. It's a design language that it represents all of their cars at this point in time, and I'm glad that it stays that way, and they aren't trying to do something different for their electric vehicles. So in that sense, I think hats off to BMW that they stayed with that design language. You see a lot of other manufacturers doing a little bit of differentiation at the front end, and now they're really have really been able to break that mold and come out with something that looks interesting, that looks futuristic. So I'm not a big fan of EVs that look very funky. I still prefer driving a traditional car, something that looks a little traditional in that sense, and reminds me of the car at the end of the day, a commodity that we used to get from point A to point B.
Right. And yeah, this is definitely exciting news, but I think closer to home, what the luxury car makers have done this week, exchanged a few punches here and there. I think they've really played it quite nicely, with the 2 Series now coming and undercutting the A-Class, and then Mercedes going and undercutting, what they said about the A-Class pricing and the A35 pricing at that. 56 lakh rupees, I think, is excellent pricing. And, for a moment, we thought that if it would come at that estimated 65 lakh rupees, probably the M340i would make more sense, and then you have the A35 coming in at 56, and now you also have the S5. So constantly punches being exchanged by the 3 Germans, and one little gesture that I really liked from Mercedes-Benz on the day that the I-Pace was launched was Mercedes-Benz announced that any owners or customers of the Jaguar I-Pace can charge the I-Pace at any of the Mercedes-Benz dealerships or any of the Mercedes-Benz charging points that they've set up for the EQ line of cars. And I think these are the kind of synergies that we are really looking at from manufacturers. And this, I think, was a brilliant move. Welcoming Jaguar to the electrified range in the Indian market, and also sort of welcoming the customers to come and get their vehicles charged as and when required. So I think that was worth mentioning.
Well, I'm not entirely convinced that was such a good move, because I've driven the I-Pace, I've been driven around the I-Pace, and I've driven the EQC, and the I-Pace felt a lot better.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree.
You wouldn't want to see an I-Pace standing at a Mercedes showroom and a prospective customer coming up and saying, "Oh, that's an interesting looking car," and and it definitely looks better. And when he finds out that it may not ground itself on those larger speed breakers like VTC, for instance.
Right.
It's got similar driving range. It's got good performance. It's got great interiors as well. Certainly much nicer interiors. All this is conjecture, and I think there is a story coming up over here very soon in the future on Sierra handle the I-Pace for comparison DQs to see where both of these SUVs actually stand in that luxury EV space.
In fact, since we're talking about this, there's a very interesting question that Anish had sent us a while back. He wants to know, does luxury electric vehicles make commercial sense, since most luxury EVs that are being launched in India are in the 1 crore price bracket and they don't give the same luxury features to ICE options within the same brand, and are they handicapped by range?
Anish, I don't think you're right with the fact that we don't get the same luxury features for ICE cars. Definitely get the same set of features, the same set of luxury that you would get in the ICE in the EV as well. So that part, let me clarify that part first. The second bit is, do luxury EVs make commercial sense at this point in time? Yes, they definitely make a lot of sense. Just keep in mind, technology as we go forward always has to come from the top down. Technology is always expensive, and it's not something that you can offer at the lower end of the market, no matter, even if you do volume for that matter. It will definitely increase the price of large scale cars for that matter. So you need future technologies coming at the higher end on premium cars. They need to be absorbed by a clientele that can look at those. Once a critical mass is reached over there, that technology then slowly permeates down to more affordable products. But that's how technology always operates in the automotive industry. The best technologies you always see first in the high-end cars, and then slowly they percolate down to the smaller, more affordable cars as well.
All right. Rohit, if you could just take us through the motorcycle news from the week, please. We'll get back to the questions after that.
Sure. So, producer, what do we start off with? Are we starting with Royal Enfield?
We'll go ahead with that, Rohit.
Okay, cool. No, I'm sorry, I didn't see that on the screen. Right. So, Royal Enfield updated the 650 lineup finally this week. And well, it's left a lot of fans a bit disappointed because there were a lot of rumors. We were expecting a lot from this update, really. We saw the tripper navigation come onto the Himalayan. We were expecting an integrated tripper navigation, or at least that add-on module being offered with the Interceptor and the Continental GT. But unfortunately, that has not been offered. It's not even available as an accessory yet. It was told to us that it would be available by March or April, but it's still not on the horizon. What this motorcycle has essentially got is new color updates. So the Interceptor and the Conti GT, both of them get about 5 new color options to choose from. And then there are the new tires that you see on the screen. These are the Seat tires. Of course, these came a little bit earlier. The end 2020 models already were shipping with the Seat tires. Now, there's a lot of hue and cry about Royal Enfield shifting from the Pirelli tires to the Seat tires. I don't think it's a bad move. I had a chance to ride this motorcycle. It wasn't a proper road test. It was a basic first ride, but the tires feel good. We've sampled these tires on some other motorcycles as well, and the grip levels are not that bad. And this move essentially came because of the restriction that a lot of manufacturers faced in terms of importing tires. And Pirelli was still an imported tire, and there have been restrictions on all of that. So that is why they've gone with an Indian manufacturer, and nothing wrong with it because the tire is actually quite good. It's not like a downgrade, so to say. We also have the Continental GT running these same tires, and as you can see now, there is a red color that's available on the Continental GT. I'm very happy about it because that color was definitely missed on a sporty vehicle like this. You had the red color on the older 535 as well. Apparently, the name of the shade is slightly different. This is called the Rocker Red. I don't remember what the other one was called on the 535, but yeah, this is a red with nice white racing stripes. It looks quite nice. But no changes have been made to the chassis or the suspension or the wheels. A lot of people were expecting alloy wheels. There is a fatter list of accessories that are available right now through the Make It Yours program, but alloy wheels are not a part of it. You are still running tube tires on these two motorcycles, and that has always been one pain point for a lot of customers out there. They've wished for these alloy wheels for a long time, and you still don't have that as an option. Also, the ergonomics on the Interceptor 650 were a bit of a concern. We had pointed it out in the past as well. Long distance comfort wasn't really great, especially for the average Indian height, and that has still not been addressed. And all these things sort of leave you wanting for more with these two motorcycles. Royal Enfield should have updated or given this a more comprehensive update than what has come through right now. And that's not just me saying it, but most of the comments that you see on our review are echoing that same thought as well. So yeah, and in fact, the bike has also, you just had the price on the screen, the bike has also become a little more expensive by about 6 to 7,000 rupees. Both the bikes have gone up by about 6 to 7,000 rupees, depending on the city in which you're buying them. So that, with the Seat tires and lack of real upgrades, so to say, sort of makes you feel a bit shortchanged. But then again, remember that these 650s come at an excellent price tag to begin with. There's virtually no competition for both these 650s. If you're looking at motorcycles like the Bonnevilles, they start at a much, much, much higher range. In fact, these two motorcycles have gotten Triumph thinking. That is one of the reasons why Triumph and Bajaj have gotten into a marriage to sort of bring out vehicles that can compete with these kind of motorcycles. So even right now, you don't really have any other options. If you are restricted by this kind of a price bracket, these are still your best options out there. Moving on to the next news, if you don't mind stretching a lot of money on, you're putting a lot of money on a track bike, BMW has got its M1000RR to the Indian market. In fact, we were the first to break this news last year when we said that the M1000RR is actually coming to the Indian market. We had also said it's coming in April, and well, the motorcycle is right here. The deliveries are going to happen in April. There are two options to choose from. There is the M1000RR standard, which starts at about 42 lakh rupees, and then there is the M1000RR competition, which is priced at 45 lakh rupees ex-showroom. So you're looking at somewhere between 52 to 55 lakh rupees on road, is what I'm told right now by the BMW dealers. There are only about 5 motorcycles that have been allocated for the Indian market, is what I'm told. I may be wrong. This hasn't come from a very reliable source, but we hear that only 5 motorcycles have been allocated for India, and I think 4 of those have already been spoken for. So, if you're waiting to get your hands on one, maybe rush to your closest BMW dealership, because only 500 of these have been made globally. And, there is a lot of debate that's happening about whether you would buy a 50 lakh rupee motorcycle and, really put it on the track and push it to its limits the way it's meant to be, or would you just, add it to collection? So I don't know. Let us know your thoughts. But yeah, these two bikes are now available in the Indian market. It is a more powerful variant as compared to the S1000RR. It is lighter. It runs lighter engine components as well. And of course, it's the go faster variant. And this is the first time the M division has made a proper motorcycle. So, if that means anything to you, and if you are a collector, well, you have that option to get this motorcycle in India now.
Is this your next motorcycle, Rohit?
I wish. I think I'll have to sell all my motorcycles and my kidneys and probably kidnap all you guys, sell your kidneys too, and then probably I'll be able to afford myself that motorcycle. Sorry, but I didn't hear you.
If wishes were horses, beggars would ride it.
I think the statement holds true absolutely with this particular question right now.
Okay, we'll carry on with our questions. Here's one from Tiro Gaming. What is the difference between the mileage in an electric luxury and the existing luxury vehicles which run on petrol and diesel?
Well, there definitely is a huge difference between the two. That also depends. Now, the range in an electric vehicle, let me come to that. The range in an electric vehicle comes from the size of the battery that you hold, that your vehicle has, because that's the amount of charge it can carry. But there is a compromise that most manufacturers have to make in this regard, simply because you cannot keep adding additional batteries to your car, and make it too heavy, and then moving that, you need a larger motor, and effectively it reduces the range that you can offer. So there is a critical point which makes the most sense, which manufacturers have to work with, and they have to work around that equation, get the battery size just right with enough of charge in them, so that it doesn't compromise either performance or the range that you would get. as technologies get more advanced, there are better batteries coming in which can hold in more charge. So that's the next stage. What that most manufacturers are working on is to be able to make batteries hold a lot more charge in them, so that you can make the battery pack a little smaller, so that reduces the weight, and effectively cars are able to, will be able to get out better range as well in the future. All of this is interdependent. So range depends on the weight and the amount of charge that you carry in a car. Now, in the case of an ICE vehicle, a petrol or diesel, it all depends on the size of your fuel tank. Now, you could have a 40-liter fuel tank, like in a smaller car. You could have. I just drove the GLS to Goa and back to see the new Volkswagen Tiguan, and that GLS, of course, had almost 100-liter tank, and I got a range of about 800 kilometers. And with a little more to spare, in fact, from that GLS. So not bad efficiency at all for that particular car. But then the range again was available because it had that large a fuel tank. Now, the other aspect that will also affect range and range anxiety, for that matter, is the number of charging stations that you have access to on your daily driving cycle. If you've got options, you've got several options on your route to work or wherever you're going. Range anxiety drops because you can just drive into one of the charging stations, put on fast charge, wait for about 20 minutes, 25 minutes, get some amount of charge, and get back on your journey. But right now, the infrastructure isn't present to the extent or comparable to what petrol stations or fuel stations are like across the country, and that is a challenge. Unless we have enough charging stations, the range for an EV will always be limited. Your movement will always be limited. You will essentially be moving in and around urban areas itself, and not venturing too far out onto the highways that matter.
All right, here's a question from Sachi. He wants to know, if the Tiguan comes with a lot of features, then what would be the place of the T-Roc in Volkswagen's portfolio, considering its higher price and less feature packed?
Well, Sachi, at this point in time, from what I understand, is that the T-Roc will continue to be offered as a CBU. So in that sense, its pricing will definitely be much more higher than where the Tiguan is positioned. But keep in mind, the T-Roc is more of a lifestyle product, a very funky-looking SUV for that matter, nicer to look at than the Tiguan. You would have seen the pictures of the Tiguan emerge from the news release that we had out yesterday, and of course from what we showed you at the Auto Expo, where Volkswagen very clearly stated that that was essentially very, very close to what the production-ready Tiguan would look like. But both of these, of course, occupy very different positions. The Tiguan is a compact, affordable SUV, which goes up against, falls in the same bracket as the Seltos, the Creta, and the Hector. The T-Roc is positioned a little higher than that because it has got better luxury features, better quality inside it, a little more upmarket quality inside it, and that effectively finds itself in the 30 lakh and upwards bracket.
Here's one from Krushang. He wants to know, how is the demand of semiconductors for manufacturers now, because his friend is waiting for the Nexon since December and his dealership is delaying it because of this reason.
Yeah, I've been waiting to get myself a PlayStation 5. Bert's also been waiting to get a new PlayStation, and we are still not able to get it because the semiconductors are not available. And these consumer electronic brands are always going to have an upper hand compared to the car manufacturers. So you will have to wait, is what I would say.
Because of that, what you also have to realize is a lot of the semiconductors coming from manufacturers in Korea and China. And Samsung is one of the largest manufacturers of semiconductors, and almost about 60 or 70% of its semiconductors are delivered across the world to various manufacturers, whether it's for cell phones or for gaming systems, televisions, all the devices that now use electronics largely. The automotive industry being one of them. That's also because as cars get more advanced, manufacturers add in a lot more electronics into their cars. You definitely need these semiconductors. You need these processing units to operate those various systems. And this has caused a huge demand, an unprecedented demand, the likes of which was never expected and was never seen in the past also for that matter. And this is leading to the shortfall in the world. There aren't enough semiconductor manufacturers, and whatever is being manufactured just isn't enough to match up to the demand that currently exists. And the automotive market, for that matter, like Rohit just said, is not standing at the front of this queue to get the semiconductors, and this is why a lot of vehicles are being, production is being delayed. The semiconductors just aren't available at this point in time.
All right, here's another interesting question from Apur Chetty. He wants to know, with Tesla's imminent plans for the Indian market, do you think the autopilot feature would be able to cope with the Indian driving conditions?
Absolutely not. Never. Don't think so. You know, there was a point in time, I'll give this, let me, small story, years ago I had driven, several years ago, I think close to about a decade ago, I had driven a Rolls-Royce Phantom in Bombay. And that had the proximity sensors on it where you keep hearing the buzzers inside the car, indicating someone was just, either you were too close to another car or another vehicle was, or some obstacle was very, very close to you. And that buzzer just wouldn't stop. There was, in those days, you couldn't switch off that buzzer. And it just wouldn't stop beeping. It just went on and on and on. I drove it, if I recollect, I drove it from the Hyatt Regency near the Bombay airport, from near the Mumbai International Airport, all the way up to Bandra. And this was early in the morning, at about 9:30 in the morning, when traffic was at its absolute peak. And it was just a ridiculous experience because there was nothing else that you could do to switch off that buzzer. And it just kept going bong, 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 bong. It was ridiculous. One of the most experiences I've had. So yeah, there's this autopilot feature will similarly face issues of that sort, simply because autopilot requires a certain predictable set of variables, of instructions or operations to work on. Conditions have to be a little predictable. That you should be able to identify that a car will come to a stop, it comes to an intersection, those kind of instructions. How do you set up instructions for someone who's suddenly driving in the slow lane and decides to shift to the fast lane and decides to shift back to the slow lane, reduces the speed, increases the speed, does all sorts of nonsense. There is no way to predict what the car in front of you is going to do, like you would probably in European and American conditions. And that essentially makes things really tough, would make things really tough. It would be very difficult to write code for those sorts of, absolute invariables for that matter. You get motorcyclists who come all three lanes, jinking between cars in traffic. There's so many things that make a difference in Indian conditions, and it would be very difficult for an autopilot feature to cope with Indian driving conditions. It will be extremely hard to do this.
All right. We'll take another question.
Hang on. Having said that, this raises up another point. Gadkari ji just recently said, in fact, just yesterday announced that the driving tests in India are going to get a lot more stricter. And if that is the case, people are forced to actually learn how to drive properly, know how to drive properly, utilize it when they get back on the roads. If fines get a lot heavier, the fee to get or rather pass a driving test and get a license go higher. And I think all of this could essentially get a lot more discipline and a lot of get our traffic a lot more streamlined. And this would make sense, or rather, those would be ideal conditions for an autopilot to function properly. Otherwise, no, we're a lost case.
All right. We'll take a question here from Samarjeet. Is it safe to install K&N performance air filter to boost the performance of a normally aspirated engine like the Honda iVTEC?
Yes, Samarjeet, it is absolutely normal. It's absolutely fine to put in a K&N performance air filter. A lot of people do it on their cars, and especially cars that have got good performance for that matter. They want better breathability in that cars. You want better intake into the combustion chamber. So yes, they do use K&N performance air filter, and perfectly fine. It's perfectly safe to install these performance air filters.
Rohit, you were on mute. You were trying to say something?
No, I was just saying the same thing that Bert just answered. Yes.
All right. Here's a question from Vikas. He wants to know, when is the new Octavia coming and should he wait for it?
Well,
Yes,
Vikas,
the
I
new
think
Octavia.
it's coming very soon. It's been already shown to the dealers, and the dealers have already shown it to their prospective customers. So, if you have a Skoda dealer near you, maybe you can, register your interest. The car should be here very soon.
And we've got the drives lined up, I think, just a few weeks from now. So yeah, I guess by the mid-April or end of April, you will have maybe a price announcement. If not a little later, which will be probably May at the most. So yes, the car is just around the corner with us.
Rohit, here's a question for you. What do you think about the Honda CBR 650R's price, as the 500X is priced around 7 lakh rupees?
Well, I've said this before as well, that I am certainly expecting Honda to cross the 10 lakh rupee bracket now with the 650. The launch is around the corner again. I think, sometime mid-April is when the launch is set to happen. And it will certainly be a pricey product now, because if you've even looked at the 650s from Kawasaki and Suzuki, they have also sort of inched closer to the 10 lakh rupee mark, especially the V-Strom 650 has already crossed the 10 lakh rupee mark. So, from that perspective, the CBR 650R is certainly going to be more expensive. It's a four-cylinder engine at the end of the day. So I won't be surprised if it's somewhere between 10.5 to 11 lakh rupees, or maybe a little bit beyond that as well.
All right, we'll take one last question from Denim Nicholas. He wants to know, will we get a universal charging plug for electric vehicles? Every car manufacturer uses different pins. Your thoughts?
Well, there is an effort going on to kind of homogenize these charging pins. But yes, at this point in time, various manufacturers use different charging pins, and this is essentially going to be one massive challenge again. While we earlier announced, Mercedes, for instance, invited the Jaguar, the I-Pace, to come into its showroom and charge its cars. This is not going to be a universally accepted solution, simply because there will be certain charging stations and charging points where you will not be able to just walk in and get your car charged the way and plug it into the charging station, simply because the pins don't match, the charges will be different systems, and there are a lot of challenges around this. Is there a universal protocol being going to be followed? There is some work and some effort being put into this direction, but nothing is set in stone as of now. We just have to wait and watch what happens in that regard.
Right, but I think lower down the order, especially all the mass market manufacturers, there shouldn't be that much of a problem, is what I think, because at least right now, when you look at the Nexon, the Kona, and the ZS EV, they're all on CCS Type 2 chargers. So yeah, probably the cable that came with your vehicle, the other end of it may or may not match. It shouldn't be that big a problem. But yeah, these guys are at least following but it's going to be something like what you have between Androids and Apple, where one has a Lightning port, the other has a USB-C. So those kind of ecosystem battles could happen. But like Bert said, yeah, there is effort being put in by all the manufacturers to have one common set, and one common standard. And I think that is essentially the way forward. You're on mute, Sohini.
I was saying we had plenty of interesting questions that came in today, and I think it's time to announce the winners. But first, we'll just play a short clip. I think that's excitement enough. Let's announce the winners.
Well, of course, 5 people who we thought had really interesting questions today. And congratulations, guys. You will get a year's subscription to the digital edition of OVERDRIVE, the OVERDRIVE magazine. And these are Tiro Gaming YouTube. I think that's YT. There's Sachi, Patmajan. There's Apurva Chetty, Smarjit Debata. That's 4 of you guys. What's it? And we need one more, and the last one, which is Denim Nichols.
I thought you said Anish Thomas Bird, but we can add Denim as well. He can be the 6th winner of the day.
Sorry, I missed that. Anish Thomas as well. Did Anish win a subscription last week? I'm not sure if he was one of those.
No, Anish didn't.
All right, then perfect. We got, we can give you 6 out. We can give you 6 subscriptions this week. Yes, that's not an issue. But congratulations to all these 6 winners, guys. You had some really interesting questions, and keep those coming in. We will keep having this contest going on, and keep those questions coming in. We will keep giving out subscriptions to OVERDRIVE's digital edition to you. So yeah, do read that, enjoy that. Follow us on our social media handles. Definitely watch out for us on our television show on CNBC 18. Don't miss out on all of these stories coming your way. And in the weeks to come, there's a lot of excitement coming because there are several launches, several new products lined up. Should make for a very, very exciting show in the future.
Right, just a note to our winners. Please drop in a one line or hello at digitalshow@overdrive.co.in. We'll touch base with you and get you started on the new subscription plan. But before we say goodbye, we would like to show you what's on the show tomorrow. So a quick teaser. So we have the Mercedes-Benz E350D, the Fortuner taken off-road, and Porsche India's new brand director tells us what's in store for India. Don't forget to tune in at 1 p.m. on tomorrow and 12:30 or 8 p.m. on Sunday. We'll take your leave this week. Have a great long weekend. Happy Holi and stay safe.
Happy Holi, guys.
Happy Holi to everyone.
Long drive. In fact, I wanted to actually bring this up at some point or the other, but I had a fantastic drive yesterday from Goa to Bombay. Drove through the night, took an 8 hours. It took me 8 hours, and essentially what made it fantastic was there was none of the regular traffic on the road, which is most motorcyclists and cars were off the road. There were only these trucks, and we left at about 8 from Goa, and by 4 o'clock in the morning, we made it here safely, quickly, without any fuss, without any stress at all. So I think it was fantastic. It was a wonderful journey for that matter. Very, very quick, very nice. And revised a lot, and much cooler for that matter as well. Much cooler. So a lot of people who actually want to head out, do some road trips, and I've also said this in the past, sometimes driving through the night are a better option than driving through the day. If you especially if you're the kind that gets very stressed driving through all of that traffic, the night times are some of the best times to head out and drive between destinations.
But chose the best time to do a road trip back to Bombay. When long weekend, everybody is going to Goa, Bert is back in Bombay.
Absolutely. You need to pay
All right, see you guys next week then. Thanks a lot for joining in.
Bye-bye.
See you. Good night.